I'm sure I'm going to get a little bit of flack for having this player in my tier 4, but up next is Hunter Renfrew out of Clemson. He's 70.25 inches tall, in other words, barely over 5'10", 184 pounds, 7.875 inch hands with a 70.75 inch wingspan. So he was below average in both height and weight, but extremely below average in hand size and wingspan. I'm pretty sure he had the smallest hand size and the smallest wingspan at the combine out of all the receivers. He's about middle of the pack in age at 23.28 years old as a redshirt senior. He's got a below average weight divided by height, middle of the pack span divided by height, middle of the pack hand size divided by height. The thing I did like about Hunter Renfrow is that he did participate in all the drills, so that removes a little bit of the uncertainty I might have about him. The unfortunate thing was what I saw on film turned up in the combine. So he ran a 4.5940 at 184 pounds. That's pretty concerning. You don't really see too many success stories of a 4.5940 at 184 pounds with small hands and short arms at the wide receiver position. It's possible, it would just be highly rare. He did decent in the vertical with a 35-inch jump, below average in the broad jump with 116 inches, and barely beat Antoine Wesley with 7 reps on the bench. The good parts of his combine workout were the 3-cone drill, 6.8, and the 20-yard shuttle, 4.19. So his 3-cone drill was one of the better ones at the combine for the wide receivers. And this is my biggest problem with the 3-cone drill. I believe you can learn how to test for it and get very good at doing just the 3-cone drill. Now, Hunter Renfrow, on tape, we'll get to that. This certainly could be a legit time, but when I see freaks of nature that, like DK Metcalf, that can't turn like it, then you watch the tape of him running the drill and he's falling down and stumbling, I have a feeling Hunter Renfrow's run this drill a time or two before, especially when then you look at the 20-yard shuttle and it's a 4.19. Not horrible, not anything that would suggest he's about to run a 6.8 3-cone drill. The good thing is that he ran the 60-yard shuttle 11.39, which was the fastest, or tied for the fastest. But again, when only 3 people take part in it, it's hard to really give it a good measurement stick. And for the film, I only watched 2 games. Just got stuck on a jam, doesn't load or false step. Okay, so before we were talking about, what does loading mean? You're in your stance, right? And quarterback says go, you bend down for a little bit. You actually might have just heard my knee pop there when I tried to do that. Or you take a false step. You step out or in or forward or back because you're off balance and you're not ready to explode. The good and bad thing with Hunter Renfrow is he does not load or false step. He understands that he needs that millisecond. He's on almost every single play ready to explode when the ball is snapped. You don't see him bend his hips. You don't see him false step. He is ready to go on his route. It's good in that it shows that he's a technician. It's bad in that it shows he realized he had athleticism problems even in college, and it doesn't leave any room for improvement at the NFL level. That's a pretty simple thing for coaches to fix. So that is honestly something I think most people who scout underrate. It shows he can gain a little millisecond. He can learn a little bit of technique. One of my favorite things to do is watch the wide receivers in the preseason. Did they fix the false step yet? If they did, he might actually be coachable. He threatens the space of the defender before breaking. So, pretend you're the linebacker. I'm the slot receiver. You're lined up 10 yards away from me. So I can either run 7 yards and fake left and go back out, or I can wait until I'm at 9.95 yards, go left while pushing you to the left, and then break to the right. That's what I mean by threatening the space. You're forcing the defender to make a decision. Is he going right? Is he going left? If I'm 3 yards in front of you, you don't really have a difficult decision. You can see it. When I get closer, now my space is threatened. Is he going right, left, past me? Is he going to push me, pull me? So that is a good thing to see. And just like his release, it's a pretty advanced technical step. So if he is going to make it as a slot in the NFL, which is the only position he can make it at, he will never be an outside receiver unless he does more steroids than anyone has ever done in the history of mankind. He is not going to play on the outside. Severely limited athletically. Imagine that. That's the next thing that pops up right after I say that. body caught on a bubble screen. So that's something you don't like to see with small, white, small hand, short armed, relatively unexplosive wide receivers. You better at least be able to hands catch, right? If you've got all these deficiencies, I want to see you catch every single ball with your hands because you're a technician. He just showed me twice that he's a technician. How come all of a sudden now he's not a technician? He has good form blocking, but he doesn't look very strong either. So again, as we talked about before, if you want to see the field year one, you probably have to be able to block, or you have to be a genetic freak of nature, and you're just so good that people can't hang with you. And that's pretty rare. And that's class of 2014, Odell Beckham Jr. I don't think we've seen anything quite like that recently. DJ Moore last year is probably pretty close, but Ron Rivera is old school and for some unknown reason waited 9 weeks to finally unleash him. I highly doubt he'll be able to separate with athleticism in the NFL. I think the Combine confirmed that, but there is hope with his agility times and his clear football IQ and technical aspects of his game. Nice stick route and hand catch. I still have concerns that if the windows are this tight against Syracuse, how are they going to be in the NFL? So I could be wrong. I don't watch literally any college football other than Nebraska. I don't like to bias my opinions of players by watching them throughout the season. Well, I remember watching this game, so now I have an emotional attachment. I wait for the end of the season. Okay, let's watch all the wide receivers in a row. Which one beats which one? Now let's do tight ends. Now let's do quarterbacks. Now let's do running backs. So I have no clue. Syracuse's DBs could be all going to the NFL, but I haven't heard of Syracuse being a defensive back powerhouse. So I'm going to go with my gut. Great adjustment to the ball with a hands catch. I really don't see an NFL player. So again, I think we said that about Anthony Johnson. Sometimes I just have to make the gut call from watching the film instead of taking a bunch of detailed notes, especially when it's such a technically sound player like Hunter Renfrow is. You just don't see it. And then when the combine happens and he's this small and this unathletic and fairly old for the class, like, I'm sorry, Clemson, but you're just going to have to remember him in college. Next I watched Texas A&M. Pretty much saw the same stuff. Didn't really want to go over the same notes over and over again. The two main ones they had were great sideline awareness, but has been non-existent for most of the game. So that's concerning when we're relying on his agility. If he's not getting open, even on short little in and out routes underneath, pretty concerning, especially now that we're going against SEC competition and not even the big boys like Alabama, but Texas A&M. He does have elite catch concentration. I'm pretty sure Hunter Renfrow is going to be overdrafted in every single dynasty league there is. People know his name. A lot of people don't do research. Maybe they just watch college football. Oh, remember that catch he made? People give so much more importance to catches and plays at the end of a football game than the catches and plays in the first quarter. Part of his recency bias. Part of it is because the changes in win percentage probability are far greater at the end of the game than the beginning of the game. If you're looking at that bar graph, or not bar graph, but that line graph that goes across the screen saying, oh, now they have 80%, oh, now it's 30%. But in reality, every single play counts. Every single play matters, including fantasy football. But I'm just talking football games. The first play of the game is just as important as the last play of the game. It might not be as emotional with the energy of the crowd, but great football players, elite football players, play every single play the exact same way because they understand every single play has the possibility to be this low probability outcome. The pick, the fumble, the touchdown. Most of the points exchanged in football are low probability plays, big plays. Just because Hunter Renfrow had a couple of big plays at emotional times of football games or against some SEC teams, against some hype teams on national TV, my bet is that he's the most overdrafted player of any wide receiver or probably any player in this entire rookie draft. Sorry, Clemson.